Hi, this is Brian Hegney, Instructor of Communication at High Point University. Welcome to the continuation of how to model a simple 3D character for a video game. The very first introductory stuff. We have already created the cylinder. We kind of have scaled it. We've worked with the edges, in an Edit Poly modifiers. And we've scaled them, rotated them, and moved them to where we want. But the next thing we need to do is add more edge loops, because we're going to need to refine this model a little bit more. You can specifically see in this section right here. So that's why you'll see why it doesn't matter how many height segments we worked with. We want to keep that number low to start off with so we can get the major forms here. But the second thing I want to do is, well, number one, add a new Edit Poly modifier. Again, every time I go up the list, I want to keep these unselected. So if you do have a mode selected, go ahead, click it to deselect that mode. So yeah. And now go to Edit Poly. Again, we have another Edit Poly here. I want to show you this Swift Loop tool. Okay, this is what we're going to use. Now, this is one of the tools that 3D Max brought into their sets of tools, because before this, actually, people used Maya a lot more to create game models, because Maya had this Swift Loop function inherently already in their set of tools. 3D Max did not. They added this when they added this cool little ribbon feature, which I have been ignoring for a while. So if you're not seeing that, this little white arrow, if you twirl that, click it once, click it twice, like toggle through, you'll be able to see that there's a whole bunch of, you can minimize it or not. There should be 3 modes. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. And so Swift Loop is under Edit. Okay, so if you don't have an Edit Poly enabled, you won't see it. Number one, if you don't have an object selected, you will not see that Swift Loop. If you select this object, and let's say you have a bend modifier on it, you also won't see it. You have to be in an Edit Poly mode. So that means your object is an editable polygon, or you're in an Edit Poly modifier. I don't need to select any of these. When I go into Swift Loop and enable that, if you hover over your model, you will see you can add a loop wherever you want, based on where your cursor is over. So I could add an horizontal, I'm going to right click into this window. I could add a horizontal loop or a vertical loop, right? Any one of these. I'm going to add a horizontal one right here, because I know I need to make its body a little bit wider right there. So left click it. And I don't want to keep making loops. Actually, I might want to make one right here. You'll see why in a moment. I'll make it right here. And I want to make one for the bucket. Yeah, middle of the bucket. And I think that's where I'll stop. Maybe right here as well. There. And I'm going to stop there. I think that might be all I need. And so I'm going to right click to get out of that tool. And I'm going to stay in edge selection mode and just select these edges and do what we did last video, which is to scale them out, rotate as need be, move as need be, to kind of, you know, position that a little bit better. And I want these, by the way, I didn't talk about this. I want these edge loops to be perpendicular to the invisible line that runs through our body. This is going to be a little bit. Like that. Like that. And like that. So again, it's all about scaling, rotating, moving. Scaling, rotating, moving. You see these? Oops. They were not scaled correctly. I wonder why. Did I do that? Did I do something wrong? Oh, it's been on select and squash. Oh, thou hast thwarted me too many times. I have to go back and change all of that. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. So this has been on the wrong scale. Well, I'm glad you saw that. I'm glad you saw that. Oh, I can't go back that far. You know what? This is where I take this edit poly and delete it. There. I'm going to start over. The reason why I got kind of mad a moment ago was because I'll show you why after I redo all of my Swift loops here. Swift loop there, Swift loop there, Swift loop there. That's what I need. Right click. Well, when I go and I select this edge and I scale it, it's on select and squash. So if I scale it in this direction, I just squashed it in this direction. Okay, so I don't want to do that. I'm going to make sure this is on any of the other ones. Either of the other ones is fine. I mean, they're both slightly different, but the way I'm using the gizmo, it's actually not that big of a deal. So I'll drag that up there. Okay. Oh my gosh, why is it still doing that? Oh, it didn't. Good, good, good. Good, good, good. There we go. This is where I need to drag this out like it's... There we go, that... Always make sure you double click these. There's that. And this is gonna get squashed, or scale that in a little bit. Rotate it. I'm actually gonna move this down, and you'll see why later. Again, all of these edge loops need to be perpendicular to the invisible line that goes through this body. Okay. That's pretty good for right now. Alright, so that's from step 1. Or that's from this step. You see? See how that's much nicer? Oh, yeah. So you can see, here's your cylinder. Then it's rotated and scaled and moved, and now it's refined. And what I'm going to do is now show you what happens with when I turn this to 0 so that we can actually see the object, orbit around it, so we can see how I'll turn off these lines. This is actually quite smooth, so we don't really need an edge turbo smooth on here. But you can see like there are these hard edges here, right? And you're not going to like that. So I just want to show you in the end, we will put a turbo smooth modifier on it, and I'm going to go ahead and do that now so I can see what it looks like with it, and that's going to smooth that out really nicely. Okay? Alright, so that is using edge loops or swift looping to add detail. In the next video, we are going to extrude the bucket head out, with the bucket top out, to just show another type of modeling. Okay, bye-bye.